everybody, welcome to this wonderful reading. I'm Zoe welcome. So in this individual reading, we're going to go by, basically it would be for April the 8th to April the 16th of 2025, and it is for a Sagittarius reading. So if you are a Sagittarius, whether if you are a male as a man or a female as a woman situation, basically what you're going through is basically it's going to be very, very enticing about what's going on. There's lots of things that you must learn first in order to do that. I always say this in my videos, but you know what I mean. Because, you need to understand about when you have your own extra strength or whenever you do that. That's the way it goes, right? So whenever things to be, how it is and unraveling or whatever it is that it needs to be, you need to understand about what's going on in that way, right? You have to believe and you have to think, okay, well, this is the way it goes. This is the way it kind of is intense, the basic formula of how everything is going to be in that way. You think that everything seems to be fine, but then you need to understand that the way of how this is, right? So you have to accept on how things are in that way, and you think that everything seems to be fine, dandy, what have you. But that's how it kind of goes in that perspective, and you think, okay, well, this is a very interesting way. This is the way it needs to be, right? So whenever you get a chance to, you need to understand about what's going on in this situation, what's beyond of this whole entire point, because in that way you need to say, all right, well, I know what to do. I got this. I'm gonna intervene. But that's how it needs to be, right? So you have to do that. That's the way it goes. So the oracle card I'm going to read you is adversity. Accept the challenges are the best way to learn. When you have adversity, you have to do that, right? So when you have challenges or what's going through in your whole entire life and things are not going as much or as planned or whatever, you have to think, okay, well, why I'm acting like this? Why I need to do this? Because you have to understand that, right? This is the way where you need to engage what you're looking for, whether you have challenges, whether you're going through something. But that's how it is. You need to have your own interaction. So you have to pay attention on what's going on in that situation, because you need to understand that. And when you figure out about looking at the 5 W's, as in who, what, where, when, why, in that situation, you do what you're told to do, right? You have to be responsible. And when you do that, that's the way it kind of is, right? That's how it seems to be. So that's the way it kind of looks. But beyond that point, basically I'm going to figure out who's who on, basically who's on the left, who's on the right, and then exactly who's in the middle. Okay, that's how it's going to be in that way. So, this is the way it seems to be in that way, and you think that everything seems to be fine and dandy, but this is the way it goes, right? This is the way it needs to be in that way, and you think, okay, well, this is the way it needs to be in that how it is, and you think, okay, this is the way it seems to be in that way, right? So you have to do what you can, and you have to go with the flow. So you have to pay attention to what's going on in that way, and that's how it seems to be in that way. So here we go. So this is very interesting indeed. So basically, we have the Emperor's upright because you have structure. Okay, that's the way it goes. That's how it is, and then you have basically the levers. You're going to make decisions. When you're making decisions, you have to know what's going on that way, because you're basically want to pay attention on how it is one way or another. You're trying to figure out what's going on that way. You need to figure out what in this whole entire situation, this the way of how this is. That's the way it seems to be, because you're trying to use your inner peace. Right, and you need to figure out, okay, this is the way it needs to be in this way, right? This is like a priority. When you do that, you need to figure out what's going on in that situation and whether it seems to be that way, because you have to understand what's going on in that way. So you have to figure that out. So let's see what's going on for Sagittarius for April 8th to April 16th, 2025. So let's see who's on the left side. The 10 of Wands is upright, the 2 Cups is upright, and the King of Swords reversed. Which means that you have no knowledge. Basically, you have no knowledge Two Cups just represents relationships, that's the way it goes. The Ten of Wands represents burdens, that's the way it goes, right? Excuse me about that, sorry. That's how it seems to be. And what's happening with this King of Swords here? The Ten of Pentacles reversed, yeah, because you have no money, right? When you have no money, things are not going as planned, things are not going as the way you hope, the way how you're satisfied, how you can negotiate. That's the way it goes. So depending on who you're dealing with between Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, or you're dealing with another Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, as water signs, as zodiac signs. So you pay attention to it. But when you have the Ten of Pentacles reversed, it means that you have no money. Okay, so you thinking, oh well, this is not going to end well. It's not. But you need to understand what's going on in that. Wait, this is the way it seems to be. What's happening on the right side, please? The Judgment is upright. Follow the World is upright. But with the Lovers reversed, so you already made decisions. You want to take action. There is always completion. And then Two Pentacles reversed. Followed with the Two of Wands reversed. Followed with the Page of Swords reversed. Followed with the Page of Pentacles is upright. So you want to have prospects. You want to have things that are going to be looking the way you need to experiencing. The way of how you can do it. The way how you can have guidance. The way how you can do this and say, all right, well, this is the way it goes. I need to, intervene, or I need to, dial up my own way of how it is. So let's see what's going on the left side, please. The Justice reverse, followed with the Lovers reverse, followed with the Temperance reverse. So basically, you already made decisions. You already have a justice, like you're not telling the truth or you're lying about something. The Temperance reverse, you're not healing about something. Tower reverse, there's no transformation. Judgment reverse, you're not taking action. The Death card reverse, there's no endings. Chariot reverse, you have no progress. The Sun card reverse, because you are in negativity. Yeah, because that's the way it goes on the left side. So basically, you're thinking, well, I'm having negative, because you're feeling like that. You're feeling like, well, this is not a dream to come true. This is not how I'm going to fix this. Because that's the way it goes, right? That's the way it seems to be. What's happening on the right side, please? The Wheel of Fortune is upright, followed with the Hermit is upright, followed with the Lovers is upright. Yeah, because you want to make decisions. You want to try to find a soulmate. You want to have good luck on your side. That's the way it goes. What's happening with the Sun card, please? The Devil reversed, alright. Followed by the Empress is upright. Yeah, because you want to have nourishment. You want things to be going your way, in your direction. This is the way it seems to be. But this is the way it kind of concludes in that way. What's going on in the middle, please? The Five of Wands is upright. So it does represent chaos, right? Because you're going through that. It does represent another Leo, Aries, Sagittarius as zodiac signs. That's the way it seems to be in that way. So you're thinking, well, this is not going to satisfy this. This is not going to be a whole entire, how I can instigate about how things are and whatever. It's not, right? So you have to do what you can, because you need to do that. That's the way it seems to be, I guess. So let's see what's going on. So I'm going to go from the middle to the left, middle to the right. So let's see. So the Strength card reversed, followed with the Eight of Pentacles is upright, followed with the Queen of Cups reversed, followed with the Five of Swords is upright, followed with the Queen of Pentacles reversed, followed by the Six of Pentacles is upright. So you want to act like you're going to have kindness, but then you're having conflict because things are not going as planned. That's the way it goes. You're thinking, well, this is unacceptable. It is unacceptable because you have no strength, right? You're feeling weakness. You're feeling like a weakling. Things are not going as planned, as hoped, whatever it is. That's the way it goes. Because when you're fighting, having conflict, things are not going as that usual plan or the way of how it goes, right? It's like you want to have a conversation, but it's not going to end well. That's the way it goes. So you need to understand how this is. What's between the middle and the right side, please? The Four of Cups reversed, followed with the Two of Swords reversed, followed with the Three of Swords reversed, followed with the Justice upright. Yeah, because you want to balance things, you want to tell the truth, you want to have that way. You don't want a destruction. You don't want to have heartbreak. Like, you don't want to do that. That's what it seems to be. So it's like things are going to go as planned as it seems to be. What's in the middle here? The Four of Swords reversed. Okay, Knight of Wands reversed. So you're not being immature. The Tower reversed. There's no transformation. Knight of Cups upright. There's romance. Yeah, because you're feeling like you're going to have romance in that particular area, in a particular way, and you're thinking, well, this is quite annoying, or I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to face. I don't know how it is, because things are going as planned, but doesn't make any sense though. Right? Doesn't make any sense, because that's the way it needs to be in that way, right? So let's see what the Oracle cards say. And I'll do what the universe is saying, then I'll do the Enchanted Map for the last end of the reading. So we're going to figure out what's going on. Right, so let's see. Right, so let's see on the left side. It says, the Desert Prince. Survival, false promises. Yeah, so, Sagittarius, you could be, in survival mode. Basically, you're thinking that you're going to be surviving, and that's how it is, right? That's the way how you can conquer your own feelings, your own wanted. You're trying to be protective, or you're trying to get what you want, because you need to be who you are, how you can deal with it, how you can emphasize the whole feeling and saying, all right, well, I got this. This is not a lecture, but this is the way how you're feeling, and that's how it is, right? What's in the middle here? The Swan Queen. Transformation, intuition, patience. Yeah, so basically you could be using your transformation, you could be having your intuition, or you're using your patience. That's the way it goes, right? So when you're having patience, you're waiting, because you want to wait for the right moment. That's how it goes. You're trying to do what you can, but then you're emphasizing of what you're going to be feeling. That's the way it goes, right? So you have to try to have your own base formula of saying, all right, well, I know what to do. This is the way it goes, right? This is not a chemical reaction. This is not the way it goes, but you pay attention on what you need, what you want, what you get, what you desire, what you deserve, and that's how it seems to be in that way. And what's on the right side? The Gaia's garden. Fruition, abundance, reaping what you sow. Yeah, so it means that you may be having abundance because you're looking for more money in that way, or you're trying to figure out, okay, well, I know what to do, I got this, but then you have to satisfy your own ways and thinking, okay, well, this is the way it goes, this is the way it happens, because when you have that aspect of how things are, you do what you can to do exactly what you're told to do, because you have to be responsible on how things are in that way, okay? Right, so now we're going to figure out what's going on from the universe. So let's see what's going on. Right, so I'm going to go from the middle to the left, middle to the right. Two Swords is upright, followed by the Queen of Wands reversed, followed with the Six of Wands reversed, followed with the Knight of Pentacles is upright, followed with the King of Cups is upright. Yeah, so you want to have trust, you want to have support, because that's the way it goes. You're in the crossroads, you don't know which direction you're going to take, left or right, but you need to understand about that in situations of how it's going to be in that way, and you're thinking, okay, this is the way it goes. I need to give it time. I need to do what I need to do. That's the way it goes, right? So you need to figure out what's going on that way. That's how it's going to be. So what's happening between the middle and the right? The Six of Swords reversed, there's no movement. Queen of Pentacles reversed, there's no stability. Temperance is upright, there's healing. Five of Cups is upright, there's grief. Yeah, because the way of how this is like unexpected territory, because the way of how this is, you're trying to figure out, well, this is how it is. I need to, do what I can to be who I am, whatever it is. That's how it is, right? So you're trying to figure out what's going on in that situations, whether you like it or not, whether you have your own, how it is in that way, and this is how it seems to be, right? That's the way it kind of goes in that, how you're feeling, right? So you're trying to like understand of what's going on in that way, and you're thinking, okay, well, this is the way it needs to be, and that's how it seems to be in that way, right? So that's how it is, right? Yes. Right, so let's see. Let's see what the Enchanted map tells me. Alright, and let's see what it says. Number 36, commitment. Ah, this is a good one. Let's see. Alright, so this is going to be an upright, and it says for commitment, it says, a true commitment is the responsibility of the heart, the mind, the soul, the body, and soul. This is a good time to make one. Alright, so here we go. It says, an upright, it says, the partnerships formed at this time are harmless and powerful. The commitment card also indicates that natural evolution of relationship from its in exception to a literal or metaphorical marriage. At the very least, there is a promise of fulfillment in some form. However, you must be conscious of what you're committing to. Be clear about the nature of your commitment and your responsibility to do it. Others are more willing to enter into partnerships at this time. Remember that your partnership with Spirit and the highest version of your own self will engage the highest self in another. So which means it means that you are in a committed relationship, and it means that you are in one. So you're trying to do what you can. That's just the way it goes. This is the way of how it seems to be, and this is what's going on. So you need to understand about how it is in one way or another, and you think that, well, this is a way of how I can accept it on how it seems to be. This is the way it goes. So you have to believe in what you're doing, and you have to pay attention on how it is in one way or another. So before I let you go, pay attention about what's going on in that situation, pay attention about this circumstance, pay attention about what's going on, because that's how it is in that way, right? This is the way it goes. But this is just a general reading, so you need to pay attention to what's going on in that way, and you're thinking, alright, this is the way it goes. But I hope you all like this video. Please give it a like, please give it a comment, and enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much, have a wonderful day to all, and bye for now, really. Bye.